I am a professor and a political scientist, but in this instance particularly, I'm going to be talking from a much more personal point of view. I am not a scholar of authoritarian transitions or politics, of Brazilian politics, but I am Brazilian, and I did live through Brazil's military dictatorship. I was a young child when the military took power in 1964, and I was unfortunately a young adult when they left in the mid 80s. So I have spent a large part of my life under authoritarian regime, and a lot of my impressions and who I am today have been marked by those experiences. So, one thing that is a characteristic of these kinds of regimes is, of course, extreme forms or, a range of forms of control of media and information and what people know and what people do not know. When I was growing up, of course, I was much less cognizant that I was actually living under a dictatorship. So I went to school, I had my friends, I had a family life, a very happy family life. So this was somewhat less relevant for the day-to-day way that I lived. Of course, as I grew up, more and more I became aware that was what I was reading, the TV shows that I was watching, the screenplays and the plays that I would go to the theater to watch were not maybe completely free of were not free of censorship. So the Brazilian government was very instrumental and very professional, actually, allegedly with a lot of support from other developed countries, notably the US and Britain, actually, in installing a very thorough censorship during the period of the dictatorship. So we know for sure, now we know for sure. At the time, there was a lot of talk about how information was filtered, how people were being persecuted, especially in the arts, to conform and to not raise some issues that were uncomfortable for the military. On the one hand, once you know that, you become much more curious. And one effect of that is that everybody becomes hyper-aware of everything you read and every experience that you have that you suspect are being censored. So in a sense, there is also, I won't say an excitement, but we all become sort of engaged in the act of resisting through wanting to know more and to try to understand what's behind what is being said. We become sort of amateur code breakers, trying to understand what famous musicians were trying to say with their lyrics. We would actually congregate around trying to imagine and read what's not being said. And that actually gives you a sense of resistance. And I remember very well when I was young, I was a teenager, how much we loved people like Milton Nascimento or Chico Buarque or Geraldo Vandré, who were very famous representatives of música popular brasileira, which is the Brazilian popular song movement, and with what excitement we would wait for any new thing that they produced, and we would all sing it and feel a little bit vindicated by being able to do that. And the same for a plays. I remember seeing some plays. My mom liked theater very much, and I remember we going to watch some of those, and what sense of participation that gave us, where there was so little to participate otherwise. It was a political act almost.
Right.